Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at Galarian Linoone with the new move Dig on this one. Actually it's not new, but it got buffed, so let's take a look at the team here. The team is going to be something that might be familiar to you. I played a similar team already with Greninja instead of the Linoone in the back. And honestly, I feel like this is the best team that you can kinda run around dark types right now. But let's take a look at the battles. Honestly, I was kinda surprised on how strong this Pokemon actually was, and I had a lot of fun playing with this Pokemon. I kinda want to play a little bit more with it again. But this team itself is a lot of fun and definitely works out fairly well. You're going to have a lead here of MEWeedle trying to basically destroy all the fighting type Pokemon, while then having the say-swap of Lickitung trying to get out the Medicham, because you don't want to have any kind of fighting type Pokemon against your Linoone. Having a double weakness to counter is a little bit awkward. Here we're going to see exactly the matchup that we want to see, but we're barely missing out on the Body Slam, which is really unfortunate for us, but we can still go for a Poison Fang here, which is going to be fine. I'm going to use a shield here trying to get the knockout against the opponent. They're gonna go for the Psychic, and we're going to be able to now win the game as the opponent has a Wigglytuff in the back. So, sadly, no Linoone first game, but maybe we see some clutch moments with Linoone in the second game. Horrible lead for us, basically the worst possible one that we could imagine, with the Swampert against our Nidoqueen in the lead. But we're going to be able to swap out into our Lickitung just to encounter Toxapex. So double water already, but they're not having any similarities in terms of the weaknesses, so it's totally fine. And I kind of thought of doing a triple water line as well, if like maybe someday. Just because there are so many good water type Pokemon in the current meta. Maybe you saw my video about the best types in the Great League. Water type was in the first spot by far above anything else, because there are so many strong water type Pokemon, so many strong water type moves. Not that many good fast moves though, but most water type Pokemon use something different, like Poison Jab. Here we don't really have a chance sadly, because you just get completely walled. Or like here Wing Attack from the Pelipper. But again, horrible lead for us, but we can try to swap out onto a charge move, which works out amazing here for us. We know that the opponent wins CMP, so they try to go for the CMP tie against our Nidoqueen, which is amazing for us. We're also going to get out now the opponent's Medicham. That's exactly what this team kind of wants to do. We're going to try to get out the opponent's Medicham just so we can get rid of this Pokemon for Linoone in the back, and maybe this is going to be the game where Linoone going to be able to shine. We're going to be able to get the opponent fairly low. They're going to get the knockout because we got hit by the Weather Ball of course before, and they're going to be able to still go for another charge move, which I'm going to let go through as well. I decide to keep my shields for my Linoone in the back, because I feel like this Pokemon has so much potential here, especially if I get a shield advantage as well against the opponent's Pelipper, but sadly they're going to get the shield advantage because I forgot that they had so much energy. So I'm going to be forced to go for a Poison Fang here, which most likely gonna get the shield from the opponent, which it does, as the opponent decides to swap out into a Swampert. And while they were able to catch the move here, this is actually amazing for me, because the debuff going to hopefully guarantee us to knock them out with some body slams without needing two of them, which would be amazing for me, as we're going to take the hit from the opponent's Swampert here. We're going to be able to go for another body slam, and we're going to get them low enough that I can farm them down afterwards, which is exactly what I want to do. As we now see the Hydrocan coming through, I can go for the full farm down. We just need one more fast move to get to two body slams, and this is exactly what's going to happen now. We're going to get to the first one here, and we're going to go to the second one immediately afterwards, which does not get the knockout yet, I would imagine. Exactly, we're gonna need a little bit more damage onto them, but they are forced to throw a charge move here against me, which allows me to farm them down with a Nidoqueen, allowing us to get an easy win after a horrible lead, which is amazing for me. So, next game, we're going to encounter a lead that I don't like either. Like, we're going to have here now the Manabus. It's kind of a neutral scenario in the lead, but because we have a team where you kind of want to bait out a potential Medicham, we decide to swap out here onto the charge move. In hindsight, I should have most likely went for a Poison Fang first, but I decided to just sacrifice my Lickitung basically. So later on, I can still use the Poison Fang debuff for my advantage basically, as soon as I'm gonna go back into my Nidoqueen. But I maybe shouldn't have done this here, but I'm still going to be able to get rid of the opponent's Deoxys here, which is going to be amazing. So we're going to get this one out, which of course is a counter user, so we kind of want to get rid of counter users for our Linoone in the back. I'm going to be able to still go for a Power Whip, and I can now decide to go for a charge move actually if I wanted to, but no, I decided to go for a full farm down with Linoone, because I will be able to take it to a Psycho Boost, and now they're double debuffed, so I can go for the full farm down. And also, As you're going to see, the opponent decides to swap back into their Mandibus, allowing me to go for one charge move here, which going to do some decent amount of damage and gonna put them into range where most likely even the Poison Jab plus Poison Fang going to be enough to knock them out. But we have to see that for sure here, as we're gonna see the last Pokemon from the opponent going to be the Victory Bell, allowing me to go for another charge move here with the Body Slam, getting the shield as well as I can now swap out, go for a Poison Fang here, which is gonna get the debuff, and now we can just go for the full farm run against the opponent, but they're still gonna get to a move, which can be a little bit tricky, especially if it's Leaf Tornado, but it's going to be the Leaf Blade, which still allows me to go for another charge move here. And as they're running Snarl on this Pokemon, I think I can just let the moves go through if they want to still go for charge moves, but I decided to actually use a shield here, just because Poison Jab, I guess, does so much damage anyway, that this is the faster way of going for it, but I could have also just let it go through and then try to go for my Linoone sweep. Next opponent. Okay-ish lead for us, I guess. I kinda don't like this Pokemon in general, but we tried to catch a move here, didn't work out, but we're gonna get out the Scrafty. And this thing with this team again, this is an ABB line here, so you're going to be forced to swap out. For sure, eventually you cannot keep like your lead in unless it's going to be such a positive matchup, because otherwise you're going to get stuck with like a Scrafty in the back, which you don't really want. This is a thing as well, which I always see in the comment section, which kinda, I don't know, I just don't really know why, to be fair, but when then people ask, oh, what do you do if your lead is gone, you're going to encounter Scrafty, for example, for this team in the back, then you played the team wrong. This is the main issue with it. Like, you kind of need to play it in a certain way, and if you don't do it, you're going to struggle a little bit. Here we were actually able to catch a Psycho Boost, which is amazing for me, but yeah, for ABB lines, you have to keep your lead around, otherwise you're going to lose with your backline against certain Pokemon. So you want to swap out eventually neutral matchups in the lead as well, because otherwise you're going to struggle later on. But here we're going to be able to still go for a Body Slam, and we can get the knockout here against the Deoxys. They're most likely going to go back into the Scrafty, so I kind of want to swap out, but they actually decided to go into the Grimer. And honestly, it can be a decent matchup for me. I decided to use a shield here, hoping that the 30% chance is just not going to get in here. And of course, we're going to get the 30% chance immediately. Don't know if this mattered or not. I don't know how much damage a Crunch actually does from a normal Grimer against a Nidoqueen, but I'm certain, I actually think it would have mattered, but like, for me it was like, I hope that the opponent wanted to swap out and maybe catch a move and I get some energy there, so I decided to shield up the first one, but of course unfortunate that we're going to hit the 30% chance. I'm going to research on the side real quick how much damage it's going to do, as we're going to also have here in the matchup against the Superior, which is a little bit of an awkward one. Yeah, I cannot kill the 2-shield scenario, I think, as a Lickitung, because the Lick damage is adding up too much that the opponent gonna go down to 2 Body Slams, but yeah, Crunch does, by the way, 48% damage against a Nidoqueen, so I could have let this move go through the first one, still would have been able to hang on for a little bit because the fast move was double resisted, but again, kind of annoying there. Here we're going to get out the Umbreon again. As the opponent decides to go for the foul play, I'm going to try to catch the next charge move onto my Pokemon, which does not work out at all, but they can still go for a last resort, as we're going to let this move go through as well, hoping that I can sweep endgame with my Nidoqueen, and also I can just go for the Body Slam spam. We are in actually a fairly decent spot here. The opponent is forced to go for last resort, which is not the ideal move, while I can now even go for the Dig here against the opponent's Lantern, which you're going to get out of the way. And as you can see, this does a decent amount of damage, and I'm going to use a shield here, expecting that the opponent expects me to go for another Dig, and I'm going to go for the bait though instead, which is going to get hopefully the shield from the opponent. It does. I can swap out, I can go for the Poison Fang here, and as it turns out, we're going to be able to get the knockout here with the next one most likely, or get the final shield from the opponent. Both of them I'm fine with. I'm gonna get the final shield. Should have went for the Earth Power then, but I can still go ahead and let this move... Actually going to shield this move up, never mind. I can still go for a Poison Fang though, which hopefully gonna get the shield from the opponent, as it does, and now it's going to be in range for just one Body Slam. I think we have one stored. I'm not completely sure about it, but I'm fairly certain we have one stored, and we do have one stored, so this is going to be all it takes to knock out the opponent, and our Linoone coming in clutch again. There were so many matchups where this Pokemon just surprised me on how strong it was. Next opponent, I don't feel like that this battle is kind of showcasing the team that well, because yes, this team can struggle against Galarian Stunfisk, but Galarian Stunfisk is just super rare right now. I kind of want to try this Pokemon out though again, because I feel like it has a lot of potential, Galarian Stunfisk, but right now, at least, I would not really count Galarian Stunfisk towards the meta anymore, because like other steel types just took its place. So it's a little bit awkward to test against a Pokemon that you barely see anymore, but yeah, we're gonna still be able to go into our Nidoqueen, use a no, we're actually gonna use the shield here onto the Ice Punch. If we let this move go through, it would have been better for me. but I'm going to be forced to swap out immediately as the opponent is going to stay in. I can go for the Dig. I can definitely go for the Dig here, as this is going to do some decent damage against the opponent. Gonna go through, gonna do some nice amount of damage here as we're going to let this next move go through. Or never mind, that's going to be a shield onto the Earthquake of the opponent. I wanted to go for the bait here, but the opponent decides to go for their next charge move in time, which is going to be the Earthquake, and I feel like I'm kind of forced to go for the baits here, and don't think this was a wise decision because the opponent actually going to let this move go through, forcing me to go for another charge move here. This is going to go through as well. And we're gonna see here in the back, it's going to be the Sableye, and there is not a lot that I can do about it. I wanted to go for the Earth Power, but the opponent actually gets to the return in time. Great play by them, because I would have been able to survive another one there otherwise. Maybe I should have went for the Poison Fang, because then I feel like the Dig would have done enough damage at this point because of the debuffs and whatever, but I didn't go for it, and so this is my own fault, and this is going to be a loss, which could have most likely been avoided if I played it a little bit better. Next opponent, we're going to encounter LilyNiRiain in the lead, and I kind of want to catch a Body Slam here, which does not work out at all, but I'm going to get out the Superior, which I'm kind of okay with. I can just go for the charge move here with the Body Slam, and again, sadly, one Body Slam is not enough, but as you can see here, again, the lick damage is kind of adding up that we would be able to most likely win this matchup in the 2-shield scenario if we're going to be able to hit 2 Body Slams here. But I kind of don't want to use my shields too much, because both of my other Pokemon can just work a little bit easier with those shields instead of the LilyNiRiain, but here I'm still going to use it to try to realign, because I know that my Pokemon in the back, my Linoone, going to be better against the opponent's LilyNiRiain than my lead here of the Nidoqueen. So I'm going to be able to realign, which actually is really nice for this team, as Lick is actually like 3 times resisted on my Linoone. So we're going to have a great time there. The opponent going to go for a Body Slam. I can still reach another one in time as well, which is going to be amazing for me, as it's going to get the opponent even lower, putting them into range for just a 1 Body Slam of my Linoone, as we're going to see the final Pokemon being a Galarian. So what we can do here is we can stay in. We're going to have to stay in, as they're going to get down by basically 2 Body Slams plus a little bit of Snarl damage. So I'm kind of hopeful that we're going to still have a chance here of winning this game, but it's going to be a tough one, especially as the opponent decides to bait me. I'm forced to go for a Body Slam here and hope that I can survive a Dig from the opponent, but sadly, as you're going to see here right now, it's going to do so much damage against me that we're still going to survive it, but not enough health left for really getting to another Body Slam afterwards, I think. So I'm going to be forced to swap out and gonna go for the Poison Fang here, which is going to get them lower. But as you're going to see, it doesn't really help us out either, as now my only play is to try to get them low enough that I can farm down with Linoone. Of course, we double, like 3-time resist actually, the lick from the opponent. So if we're gonna get them low enough, we might be fine, but this is sadly not low enough. We are gonna get to the Body Slam here, but we have to get to 2 Body Slams / get the farm down against the LilyNiRiain, which just doesn't work out, and we can move on into the next game against a Medicham in the lead. This is exactly where we kind of want to face a Medicham. It's not really the ideal spot to have it in, but why bait if you can go for the Earth Power, right? Getting rid of this Pokemon early would be amazing, and that's exactly what we're going to be able to do here, as we're gonna use a shield on a potential Ice Punch, which is fine. We're gonna see the Lantern coming back in, and we can just go for the swap into my LilyNiRiain. Having next to the Power Whip is going to be amazing, especially after the Poison Jab damage. We're gonna put them into range where just 1 Power Whip would be enough to knock them out. So I could just decide to go for a bait here, right? Let's see if I'm going to do this. Let's see what I'm going to do here, actually. I'm going to go for the bait. Hopefully it's going to work out, because Power Whip would do a ton of damage, and no, it does not work out. I'm still going to be able to go for a Body Slam though and try to get another shield from the opponent, or like the first shield, which does not work out either, but I get the knockout, so I'm totally happy with this, as I'm going to get the knockout against the last Pokemon there as well, as we're going to see the Stunfisk coming in. I'm honestly just going to be able to just go for the bait here, and this is kind of risky, because I could also just go for the power, the Earth Power again, which does not work out here for me. The opponent is going to be dropped in the defense, which is going to be nice. But as you're going to see, I'm going to now be up against the opponent's Galarian Stunfisk with my Linoone. I generate energy slower than the opponent. The opponent has stab damage with Earthquake. I have stab damage, of course, with Body Slam, but it is going to be a resisted move, so they're going to actually use a shield here, which is amazing, as they can go for a Dig here. Does this work out? There's still have a shield left. It does work out. They decide to let this move go through, and now I can go for the full farm down, and I know that I'm going to be able to win this game at this point, because one more Snarl is coming through before they can go for a charge move, and this is going to be it. So that was such a nice prediction from me, being able to call that one. Final game for today, horrible lead again with Skeledirge. I'm going to try to catch a Shadow Ball here, which works out amazingly, as you can see. There's going to be a disarming voice, which is not going to do to do much there, but you're going to now see the opponent's Superior coming in, and maybe, just maybe, the opponent just barely got me into a range where they can just go for one Frenzy Plant and knock me out, but I feel like it's actually not that range yet. I hope at least. Let's find out. A Frenzy Plant. Actually, I think they can farm me down. That's awkward. That's really bad for me. So I just need a little bit more HP here in order to do something, but I'm deciding to just go ahead and go into my Nidoqueen. I guess I have to use a shield here. I would have Earth Power now, so maybe I can use Earth Power, but the opponent has a Dugong in the back. We are really kind of with our back against the wall here at this point, because it's not really looking too good for us. But I can swap out against the Skeledirge again into our Dark-type Pokemon, which does not appreciate the Disarming Voice here. So it's looking really rough for me at this point. I'm going to be forced to go for one Force Move and then for a Body Slam, trying to bait out a shield. Because, of course, our Dig would do enough damage to knock them out, but our Body Slam doesn't. And I have to try to farm them down, which doesn't work out. And so, the final game comes to an abrupt end, and this is going to be it for today's video. Still, I really enjoyed this Pokemon. So, very cool Pokemon to use. I think it has a lot of potential. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this Pokemon here, but this is going to be it. Check out the videos on the screen, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.